Let's take a look at some legacy charts for Brave New Coin on this fine Thursday. I'm going to start with a COVID versus BTC chart that somebody posted on Twitter. The fill here is COVID cases. The line is Bitcoin price. And there's a lot of interesting mixed signals going on here, because if we see another spike in cases or fear surrounding the future, the near future, then the VIX should spike up, which should be bearish for BTC, at least initially, much like March 2020, where we had kind of a reset button. I don't think it's going to be as big of a reset button. It's not an initial shock, it's more of an aftershock potential, but the correlations here are quite interesting. You can say the numbers are fake, COVID is fake, whatever, I don't care. The point is, cases go up, Bitcoin price is going up. That seems pretty one-to-one to me. VIX is rising though. If we look at that chart, today it's 2170, kind of to a multi-week high. So that makes me nervous that we're up here on BTC where we are in price, and definitely adds to my cash thesis, at least in the near term, until we get some sort of micro mini dip. A rising VIX historically has not been bullish. A spike in the VIX has not been bullish. We are ready to regain our negative correlation to the DXY, which I'll look at in a second, but that had a monster week this week, breaking out of that diagonal resistance I've been watching for the past several months, it feels like at this point. Gold correlation still negative, 10-year note correlation mildly positive, and then the SPX NDX correlations still cruising in the negatives, very unusual. The SPX NDX feel like they're on their own journey, and Nikkei 225 also losing its positive correlation with BTC here as well. So just weirdness kind of all over the place, starting with the DXY, which again, if you don't understand the underlying fundamentals here, you may think we're printing money, we're spending money, social programs, blah, 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 but it's all relative. So it's kind of a race to the bottom for everybody. If we are printing less than the group in the index, or rates are higher on a relative basis than the index, then the DXY is going to be bullish, right? It may seem like this doesn't make any sense, and it kind of doesn't, but the tech was certainly there for a breakout, and we got it. And I think eventually, maybe by the end of the year, we're going to see 96 in the DXY. Now, this does not match up with my thesis about Q4 being bullish for crypto, because historically, if the DXY is rising, we are not bullish in crypto land. So hopefully, the tech is wrong on the DXY. It hasn't been wrong so far. In a vacuum, not trading the symbol, I'd say, yeah, I'd belong to 96 all day. That's the flat Kumo level. And the W and or Eve Atom and or IHS target is 96, 97. So it's doing what it should be doing based on tech, regardless of what's happening in the real world. And that's definitely problematic if you're bullish crypto. Gold had that big spike down last week. I don't think the chart's necessarily tradable here when it's in the cloud, when the signals are mixed. That's never anything you want to be actively trading. You want to be trading the trend, not this on high time frames anyway. I don't know what this is. It's a mess, but it's not definitely not bullish. It's not super bear, but it's definitely not bullish. It's not 2013 to 2016 bearish, but it's not 2019 to 2021 bullish either. Just the no trade zone for me. Silver definitely breaking down from its ascending triangle, still barely holding above the cloud, but certainly doesn't look as bullish as it did a few weeks ago. I'm still holding my position, just in case you care. It's underwater heavily at this point, but it is what it is. It's just spot. It's not leveraged or anything like that. It's just funny how this took 7 years to consolidate. Had a spike down, sprung to a 2x plus, 3x almost, consolidated for another 6 to 8 months, and then broke down. If you're a silver bug, a lot of crypto people are silver bugs for some reason. They're just in an air of endless disappointment by the looks of it. Ever since BTC existed in 2010, it's mainly just been nothingness in the silver department. Looking at the 10-year note, somebody had pointed this out to me a while ago to start looking at this and the correlations with BTC. Definitely doesn't look as bullish as BTC does. If anything, it looks like it's ready to start a bearish journey downward. And because of the relatively high correlation with BTC, that's not exactly what you want to see. So hopefully that correlation just diminishes into nothing. But the technicals here are definitely not bullish. SPX and NDX on the weekly, I mean, what do you even say? You can be a bear all you want. You can say there's bear divs here for months, right? It's basically been just a continuous bear div kind of since May. You could argue this wants to retrace, but you know, until it does, what are you going to say? You're just going to be perpetually wrong the entire time. That's the problem with being counter trend sentiment, because yeah, this should retrace eventually. This should drop, should break down, but both of these are just new all-time highs every other week, you know? Eventually, you're probably going to be right, much like people were into Corona March. Eventually, this thing's going to de-risk and spike down, and people are going to say, oh my gosh, I didn't see this coming. You know, but until it happens, you can't be short, certainly, because look at the chart. Just open your eyes, right? Look at this thing. It had like 2 months maybe of down, and then just massive spring to the upside. Just crazy. So tons and tons and tons of money printing in the US for various reasons, and that certainly helped asset prices. Help the rich get richer, as they say. And you can definitely see it here on SPX NDX. On the Nikkei 225 index, it's in a bit of a downward channel. This could potentially bounce at the Kijun here on the weekly. So it doesn't look like it's going to be bearish for an extended period of time. The first bounce opportunity is at the Kijun. The next target is then the flat Kumo down here. But this thing has generally been pretty correlated with BTC. Coin, another thing that's just like in this grind down on low time frames into VPVR support. This is the Coinbase chart. And my guess is if BTC and ETH go for all-time highs, you're going to see this thing just curl up so hard. You've never seen a stock curl up so hard. There's a lot of legacy people who do not like crypto, but they love investing in stuff like Coin and MSTR and Robinhood as like a side hustle to the crypto adjacent businesses, whatever. The shovel sellers, I don't know, whatever you want to think of that as. The legacy people love this sort of thing. Hood looks uninteresting to me until it's above 51 or near 36, basically where it opened. This is Robinhood's chart. Just been nothing but a basically exit pump and then just melting on low time frames. It's only been listed for a few days now, but there's nothing here that looks remotely bullish to me. Nothing here that looks like a dip buy at all. Just it needs to have its temper tantrum and do its thing. But again, if Doge and GME and AMC and BTC and ETH go for highs, you're probably going to see stuff like Hood jump in a big way to the upside. Here's GME on the 4-hour. I zoomed way in just to show potential bullish leanings here for inverted head and shoulders with a bullish divergence, with a crisscross of the 4-hour 5200 potentially. Currently it's bearish, but this could reverse, much like all of crypto did. Very, very similar setup here. Crypto acted first. GME's lagging behind that, but the technicals are very good for bullish reversal if this thing can form a right shoulder and get back above 170, let's say, in the near term. So definitely worth a watch to see if the meme stonks. Have another upthrust. Here's AMC, and I like this more as a retracement back to some moving average, right? 22, 23, 24, 25, whatever that is down there. Some sort of falling wedge type situation, but I don't hate this either for highs towards Q4. I don't know if DXY and all of this stuff can pump together, but maybe we just live in a clown world now where that's possible. And if that's the case, you know, I expect all this stuff to just be correlated with one another if this does reverse. MSTR, again, just kind of looks ranging, nothing super exciting until we're back above 800 for MSTR. It's at volume support right now, but nothing too crazy one way or the other, bullish or bearish. Square got rejected at all-time highs, still holds a bullish 5200 cross. They have a massive crypto treasury worth paying attention to from that regard. RSI is kind of all over the place, but still kind of downtrending. Not looking like a great buy for me up here, but still looks healthy on trend. GBTC, the grayscale product, had a death cross, golden cross. We'll see if this leads to bullish continuation on GBTC. The difference here is that it isn't spot. There's some unlocking stuff going on behind the scenes, along with premium and discount and other issues with that potential ETF conversion. Just worth looking at this more for sentiment than anything, but sentiment here is definitely more bullish than bearish, as it is with ETH, more bullish than bearish. Bullish EMAs, bullish volume profile. Path of least resistance for this thing is definitely up over down, and you can see the yearly pivots giving you targets here. But if we look at the discounts on these products, it's approaching negative 12% plus on ETH, negative 20 it was at one point yesterday, I think, on BTC. ETC is going from negative 37 to negative 30. So there's some sentiment stuff here. Like I said, there's some unlocking stuff going on. I mean, LTC just last month was at a 500% premium. It's down to basically zero because of the unlocking. So it's worth paying attention just for sentiment to me, not necessarily anything I would touch. Because why would you if you have access to spot? You're not going to buy this unless you assume this premium or this discount goes back to at least parity with spot, which is possible. And then that's a form of a cash and carry ARB trade situation, but otherwise you're not touching this. There's just no reason. CME futures, historically on these expiry dates, specifically these biannual contracts, have really been up or down only. This is a very unusual period here currently where we've established higher highs intra-contract. Usually once the trend is established in these, we don't reverse course, and that would lead us into the end of September. Into Q4 is when I'd expect us to be more bullish even now than we are. So I think we're in a bit of a holding pattern. I think this could squirrel around until end of September, and then I get more bullish. And just looking at the previous biannuals, since this thing started, it was down, down, up, down, and then Corona March obviously disrupted all of those trend expectations. I think we would have actually kept going had it not been for Corona. It just delayed the inevitable. But in general, for most of these biannuals, it's really been up or down only. So very unusual here that we had this gamma squeeze, whatever you want to call it. Vanna charm. I don't know the options lingo, but just not usual activity here, definitely. So Legacy's at a bit of a weird spot just across the board on everything. You know, it's just worth being on your toes here. Lastly, I'll just mention the ETH-BTC fund and DeFi portfolio I trade for Techemy Capital on Enzyme.finance, non-custodial portfolio management solution where you can send ETH or USDC or just watch what I'm doing. You can see everything including AUM, performance, allocations, trades that I'm making, where I'm making them, where I'm lending, how much I'm doing of everything, as well as deposits and withdrawals. That's all I have for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.